Welcome to The Intuitive Therapist with Janice R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janice will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janice R. Cohen.
Hey, y'all. This is Janice Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist here on the Intuitive Therapist podcast. Happy today to not only have y'all listening, but to have another one of my most favorite people ever. Her name is Dr. Julia Spinolo. She is going to talk about some really cool stuff today. She and I met in a very unique way. And she had reached out because she realized that I did past life regression hypnotherapy. And she was kind enough to ask me to be a part of her show. And I'm going to have her talk to you about the name of her show, what it's about in a little bit. But she was so sweet. And we just formed a really nice connection. And what she does is incredibly unique. And that's why I wanted to have her on my show. So Julia is a native Atlantan. She has worked in healthcare for over 25 years as a board-certified nurse practitioner. She's an energy healer, Reiki master, and a cancer survivor. Julia uses and applies her extensive knowledge of both Eastern and Western healing practices in her approach to healthcare and wellness when she works with other people. So I wanted Julia to come on to talk to you about something interesting about energy healing. I think there's a lot that surrounds energy healing that seems kind of mystical or untouchable. And today, Julia wants to take the woo-woo out of energy healing. And I thought that is a great idea. So how many of you actually know what energy healing is, let alone how it can help you? In today's episode, I'm going to talk with Julia about and explore exactly what energy healing is, because I know there's so many modalities of energy healing. She's going to talk about how she works, the benefits of energy healing, and how energy healing is becoming really a mainstream alternative and supplemental modality in health and wellness intervention. Welcome, Julia. How are you?
Hey, Janice. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Very happy to have you. I always begin asking my guests to tell the listeners a little bit about themselves, how they got into doing what they do, and just kind of talk me through it a little bit.
Okay. My background is in nursing. I went to nursing school here in Georgia. I had my undergraduate, my master's degree, and my doctorate in nursing.
Wow.
And while I was being a nursing professor, I worked with a couple of colleges here in Georgia under the university system of Georgia. While I was doing that, I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 42. And so I took a pause from that, and I had a double mastectomy, a couple other surgeries, had months of chemotherapy, and just really took time off for myself and to heal. While I was going through my recovery from that, I did traditional chemotherapy, and I did start to incorporate some of the holistic side, which using aromatherapy to help with my nausea, meditation, mindfulness, which really helped. And also I looked into energy healing because I was like, you know what, why not? It's not going to hurt. So why not try it? And the reason why I did that, because even months after having chemotherapy, I had such horrible chemo brain and feeling like you're constantly in a fog and your cognition is just not right, and you mess up on your words and your thoughts just can't process. And it really bothered me because I was this lady that's always been on the ball,
right?
And, with it and sharp and all of that, and I just wasn't anymore. So I went to a pranic healing night, and I was like, you know what, let's just have this done. And it was like the next day, the freaking light bulb came on, and I'm like, I got to learn how to do this. And so I looked at different modalities, because you will hear that there's different modalities, like Tai Chi is
Right.
work, pranic energy is energy work, Reiki.
Yeah.
So when I looked at those, I really kind of resonated with Reiki. And so I did. I studied for months and became a Reiki master, because it's really cool, because being a nurse, I'm already in the healing arts.
Right.
So it was incorporating this energy work into that. And it's just fascinating stuff. And at first, I was a little skeptical, like, well, is this the placebo effect, or is this really working? Is this all in my head? And really, it's not. And my big thing when I started doing this was really getting the word out there, especially to my colleagues who are Western trained practitioners, that there is, some validity, or actually a lot of validity,
Right.
behind this work.
Yep.
And there's finally being studies being published where this stuff is really real, and it really does help.
Yeah.
So that's part of my goal. I actually work with a primary care group here in the South Atlanta area, where I see patients. I go into the doctor's office and I see patients just solely as an energy practitioner. So it's
That's amazing. Yeah.
and Western part of it, and these doctors are getting it. And it's just like, 10 years ago, you would have been saying something, they'd be like, girl, you're crazy.
Right. Oh, yeah. But it's amazing how it's become mainstream, and it's a very, very real method of intervention. All these pieces, it's like the concept of how your energy affects your health and well-being is now being seen as very true. The mind-body connection, huge.
Yes. And, this is the thing. One of the things that I really like to kind of broadcast, get on my soapbox, is that a lot of times as energy practitioners, we get the people where we're the last result. Like, they can't find anything. They've done tests. My doctor has tested me from head to toe and done lab work. And I've seen, a therapist and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, nothing is working. And energy work kind of gets to where the root of the problem is with a lot of these, not with everything, but a lot of it is. And, I could tell you later on with a couple of case studies that I have that I've personally, seen with clients of mine, that I was like, wow, it's really cool stuff.
So how would you, if somebody is kind of getting new to the whole realm of spirituality, metaphysics, energy healing, energy work, in a nutshell, how would you define, explain, describe what energy healing is?
Okay. Well, just to start off, for your listeners to understand that everything is energy. Every single thing you touch,
right?
Thoughts are energy. When you think of, because people are like, well, how can thoughts be energy? I'm like, well, do you pray? And people are like, well, yeah, I do. I'm like, well, that's energy too. You're sending your love and your thoughts and that energy to the person that you want to receive your prayers. So we have 7 main energy, they're called wheels of light, that go up and down our spinal column.
Chakras.
Chakras, exactly. And these chakras represent, an emotional component and a physical component. And what happens is, even as children, any kind of assault to something physical or mental, that happens. It kind of stays within in these energy fields. And those can just sit there for years and years and years. And when those things build up, then we start to have energy imbalances. And those can manifest into physical form.
Yeah.
Such as people that, have been abused or have had really crappy self-esteem, see a block in their solar plexus chakra, which is right where the belly is. People have like GI symptoms, and they go to the GI doctor and they have the battery of tests, and there's no ulcers, there's nothing that's going on, but it's that energy. Sometimes it could take forever for something to actually pop up.
Right.
But they're feeling like crap. how do I get this to feel better? So what I do is I come in, you know, as an objective person to look at them and say, okay, let's see what's blocked, and I get those cleared for them.
Wonderful. That's amazing. So, my listeners, I did an episode on chakras, what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say you clear them, talk to the listeners just briefly about what that is. How do you clear something? How do you figure out which chakra it is?
Yeah.
How do you do that? And how do you clear something? And what can people expect when their chakra is cleared?
Okay. Excellent questions. So how I work, and every practitioner is different, and I am intuitive. So I actually feel the shifts in my body when something happens to my client.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But how I measure that is I do pendulum work, and I hold those
Oh,
in each chakra, and they'll spin a certain way, or they won't spin at all. And that is kind of my confirmation that something is not right. When somebody comes to me and I look at their list of problems that they have, I know exactly what's going on.
so talk to them just briefly about the pendulum. So when it spins, which way is it okay? And if it doesn't spin how do you, what's your methodology about when you know something is fine and when something is not with the
Yeah,
pendulum?
the chakras actually spin in different directions, and we could have a whole seminar.
I
You know,
bet.
the masculine energy, and it spins different ways. So I know that this chakra is going to go counterclockwise. This chakra is going to go clockwise, because it's like cogs of a clock. You know, they go opposite to have that energy of flowing. So the pendulum knows, it measures that energy, and it could tell me, I know, because I know which way the chakra needs to be spinning and how big or how small the chakra should be spinning. I can
Wow.
test that. And then what happens is that I am basically a conduit for their higher self, of giving them space, holding that energy, and just totally focus on them, and to just be with them and to help clear that energy.
Mm.
People describe me looking like a DJ where I'm spinning records, and I'm just literally, I only touch my client's head and their feet. The rest, I'm just over the body and feeling that energy and working that out.
So do you pull the energy from the chakras that need to be cleared? Like what does that look like for people who are kind of need a visual understanding?
It's where I'm getting it, where it's kind of like I'm moving it with my hand in a circular motion,
Uh-huh.
getting that kind of realigned, whether opened or kind of brought back in.
Got
And
it.
what that does is it kind of gets it where it gets those kinks out, per se, and then gets that energy flowing where it's nice and in alignment.
So really the ultimate result that your patients experience when they get realigned, so to speak, is what?
Gosh, a bunch. I tell people that the first 3 days of energy work is the most intense, but sometimes these things, especially deep-rooted problems, things that could have happened 40, 50 years ago, those can take several weeks to get back into regulation for the body to really adjust back into it. And it's not a one-time fix. I mean, some people, they feel things immediately, but then they may need to come back
Okay.
for like, another adjustment or realignment. It just depends on the individual. But what they can feel is that, especially with like people that have a lot of grief, they're going to hold that in their heart chakra. And when that alignment and open that heart chakra up, they can actually feel like a weight is being lifted off their chest, or where
Wow.
they're able to breathe better. So those are the physical things that can happen when they see that realignment. And it's really good confirmation for them, because people they want to say, well, I want to feel something, I want to see something, or else did it work or not?
Right. So
So,
that's their evidence that they literally feel a lightness because the energy has been cleared.
mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yep.
So talk to me about, like, let's say somebody comes to you and they have anxiety or fear, right? Let's say they know they want to do more in their life and they see themselves really having all this potential, but they're scared shitless.
Yeah.
or that they maybe they just struggle with anxiety.
Mhm.
What do you do? How do you help somebody?
Well, again, I look at their energy level and I get them clear. But with my clients, I always give them homework, and
Okay.
whether it be with the anxiety. When you're talking about anxiety, you're really looking at their grounding, and the root chakra, and the
Mm,
um, also the lower chakras are really for anxiety. So it's getting that grounding. So I will teach them grounding techniques, and I really do tailor it to that person of what their interests are and how they go about their day. So I look at their lifestyle and I give them, tools to use that, is not going to really change how their lifestyle is, but will incorporate into it beautifully. Um, and then really, I mean, it's not where, and it's funny because in medicine, we call it practicing medicine because we can't fix anybody.
right.
Really, the person needs to come in and to be an advocate for their health. So same thing with energy work is that we're there to guide them, but they got to do the work. And, to keep that going, it's just like preventative healthcare. It's the person's responsibility to make those appointments and to follow up and to stay on a good diet and exercise and all that. It's the same responsibility for them with energy work, as they need to do those practices to keep the alignments.
So I have another question. I always have questions, but this is
I love it.
absolutely fascinating to me. So somebody comes in with cancer, somebody comes in with diabetes, somebody comes in with fibromyalgia,
Mhm.
somebody comes in with IBS, or what about this? Somebody comes in with a mental health issue, maybe bipolarity, maybe depression, maybe PTSD.
Mhm.
Um, how does the work that you do as a Reiki master, as a nurse practitioner, how do you help deal with that? I mean, I know that's not a one shot deal, but talk to the listeners about the experiences and the successes, that the challenges that you have when people come in with, I guess I've said two different kinds of things: actual physical manifestations of illness, but also mental health challenges.
Right. And there's such a connection between the mind and the body
Yeah,
that a lot of it, because people do, and they hate to see this when people go to their healthcare provider and they're like, it's all in your head. And people are thinking, oh my God, am I crazy? And it's not. It's that energy. It's not just in their head, because they're like, I wouldn't want to think this stuff up, that I have this stuff. um so can I give you I have a couple of case studies that
absolutely. Sure,
I,
sure, sure.
I had a client that was just very lethargic, just felt bad, and went doctor shopped and was trying to get the answer, like, what the hell's wrong with me? And one of his doctors was like, oh, well, you just have Lyme disease. And I think that, legitimately there is Lyme disease, but sometimes people just kind of like, well, you have a little bit of it, but I don't think that that's really causing what the problems are. So, people like a diagnosis to have to tell people what they have, like,
Sure.
have this, instead of saying, well, I don't know what's wrong.
Right. Yep.
So this person was just like fatigue, shortness of breath, had like almost panic attacks where their chest felt really tight. So when I started talking with him, he had like 4 significant deaths within the last few years. And what it was grief.
Mm,
So I did energy work on him to open up that heart chakra, and also to give him tools to like journal, and also grounding techniques. And he started to feel better.
wow.
And it's like, wow, I mean, this poor guy had been suffering for so long. Another thing that I've seen, and it's funny because you'll see patterns of people coming in, it's like for the same thing.
Yeah.
And I had people coming in where they were just stuck. They couldn't make the move. They couldn't give the notice of when they wanted to retire or when their last day was. They couldn't decide on which car that they wanted to do. They couldn't
Wow.
decide of which part of town that they wanted to go into.
So where was that living in the body? What chakra, and how did you deal with that?
It was like the upper chakras with the mind and clarity. And these people had blocked third
eyes, yeah.
chakras, and I helped clear that up. Again, gave them different homework assignments to do. And sure enough, they called me within days. I decided on which car I wanted. This is the date I'm going to retire, and I know exactly where I'm going to move to.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is cool. So, you know what it sounded like when you're saying that with that first case study that you actually had asked a particular question, and it sounds like that and this is no slight to medical doctors, but whoever was working with that person maybe didn't take that kind of history. And I'm assuming you have specific and pivotal questions that you ask your clients to really get to the root of what's going on, so you know the kind of work that you need to do that's different than a medical doctor would ask.
Right. Well, I mean, in my training, I have really good assessment skills.
Got it.
Healthcare for so long, so I can pick that up. But the thing that I can do is that when somebody's giving me their symptoms, I'm thinking of energetically what's going on with them.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to say that there was like one thing that you want listeners to know about why it's important to do energy work, and especially to reach out to you to do energy work and clearing, what would you say?
I would say always try it. It's not going to hurt you. Try it and see what it does. And
what do you say to the skeptics, especially?
I say, look at the research on my website at centeredself.com. Have a resource page for those skeptics to look at different studies that have the results of this work. Talk to people that have had it done. And there's several people. I mean, I've had doctors, lawyers come see me, people, that you would think that would be the skeptics, and it's so to show the validity of it. It's just amazing. But, with me, being a healthcare provider and seeing patients, I have the, excellent assessment skills, and I could kind of tune in with that. I have my intuition that kind of guides me with that, but also, being a patient, being a cancer patient and having that understanding of what people are going through, but, and then being a patient of energy work too, how miraculous it is. And what's really cool is I do distance healing, and I have had some really remarkable things happen with just distant work.
Yeah.
People that have had back pain where they literally were at their desk and could not stand up. And I did energy work on them, and they felt that warmth and felt, my energy, sending that to them. And they were able to get up off their desk and, go about their day.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
It blows my mind.
Yeah. So 2 things, your website is called centeredself.com.
Yes.
And one of the things I love about talking to you about this stuff is because, listeners, when y'all are hearing Julia talk, there's what she's talking about is because she gets it. She knows what it's like to be on both sides of the fence, and she has such a beautiful skill set of all this experience as a board certified nurse practitioner, but then also this amazing system of skills for energy work. And it's just, that to me is so exciting when I meet somebody who gets both sides, because so many practitioners, therapists, coaches, counselors, doctors, they just come from one vantage point. So you don't really get the sense that they get it outside of conceptually or intellectually. So I just want to give you kudos for that. I'm absolutely am not happy that you went through cancer. Yeah. I'm so glad you're with us. So glad you're here to talk about all of this. But that's the beauty of really having kind of like that know, like, and trust factor, is that you get it. You get both sides of it. So I'm so grateful to have you on. So I was curious. I always am excited to connect with you, and was so excited to be on your show. Tell the listeners a little bit about your show.
Oh, yes. I have a show on the Lighter Side Network. If you look at the lightersidenetwork.com, there.
Lighther side SIDE network.
And Jamie Butler, who is a fantastic medium here in the Atlanta area, decided to start her own network. And I have my show on there. It's called Medical Girl Mystical World. And the first season, I really was interested in blending Eastern and Western medicine, but also bringing in some of the alternative, like past life regression that I had you on my show for.
Yeah.
Really, incorporate all of this good stuff and put it in a nice package and be like, here are some options for you to try these different things out. And my goal is to get people to be their best self, in the best health that they can be. And, just mind, body, and spirit and their emotions too. People forget about the emotions, really getting all of that incorporated together to having nice wholeness, to be their centered self. So that's what I do on my show. And I love it. And people, if they want to check it out, and there's 5 other shows that are on there too. So there's kind of a little bit of something for everybody.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you? I mean, because to me, if I was listening to this, I'm like, what's her phone number? I got to call her because I want her to work my shit out too. Talk to me. How do they get in touch with you? What's a phone number? What's an email address? How do they reach you?
They can contact, if they want to look at my website, it's centeredself.com. They want to contact me via email at julia@centeredself.com.
Okay.
We'll return it email, and then we can set up a phone call or what have you, whatever you need.
Love it, love it, love it. Now, my listeners know that whenever I have a guest on the show, I gotta do my favorite thing, and these questions come from Inside the Actors Studio, one of my absolute favorite shows.
Okay.
So before I do that, is there anything else specifically you want the listeners to know about?
Just open your minds and see what's out there.
Because energy work it really works. It really, really works.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, sister. So okay. I'm going to ask you these questions. Answer real quick.
Okay.
Okay. What's your favorite word?
Oh.
Girl, it's called quick. Answer quick.
I was going to say a swear word, but goodness is my favorite word.
What's your least favorite word?
Can't.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
High vibrational people.
What turns you off?
Negative people.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What sound or noise do you love?
Birds chirping.
What sound or noise do you hate?
People being ugly, negative talk.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I want to be an actress.
What profession would you not like to do?
God, I don't know. Let me think. It's a stumper. I'm trying to think quickly. Garbage men.
Okay. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
That I did a good job.
Wonderful. And you have, and you do, and you will. So y'all reach out to Julia, Dr. Julia. She is insanely gifted, and you can hear from her, just hearing her today, just a beautiful soul, very, very personable, so good to be around. And so reach out to her at centeredself.com, sending her an email. And as all of y'all know, if you'd like a reading or you're ready to change any aspect of your life, reach out to me. My email is janice@janisrcohen.com. Call me 404-558-3971. We can schedule a reading. We can schedule a consultation around anything in your life. And please don't forget to hop over to iTunes, Subscribe, please, to the podcast. Spread the word. The more people that listen to my podcast, I'm so excited. It's growing leaps and bounds. So excited. So thank you. Click on the rating and review section. And please just take a moment to rate and review. The more ratings and reviews I get, the more exposure I get on iTunes. And also don't forget, my podcast has just been taken up on Spotify. So you can listen to it there. I hope everybody has a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist with Janice R. Cohen. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend and subscribe, rate, and review at iTunes.